Well, good afternoon and welcome to KAFTAN TV, and the program is the POLITY. Today on the POLITY, we shall be talking about diaspora voting. Which way will it go? For a very long time now, since the Fourth Republic started, Nigerians in the diaspora estimate says there are about 5 million. Yes, from various parts of the world, including US, UK, France, Germany, Canada, Ireland, even as far as China. But since the Fourth Republic started, they've now been part of the political process, especially in the areas of emphasizing their franchise. Yes, I say their franchise because they, as Nigerians, they should be able to vote. They are qualified to vote. But over the years, it's been possible. And there is a whole gamut of issues that surround that. So on the POLITY this afternoon, we shall be examining whether Nigeria is prepared for diaspora voting. What are those structures that we need to put in place so that they too can have a sense of belonging in electing those that govern this country. My name is Segun Ojelade. I welcome you once again to the POLITY this afternoon, this Friday afternoon, and we're transmitting live from Katampe Hills in Abuja. Welcome once again. Today on the program, I'll be joined by 3 guests. Yes, 2 of them are in fact members of the diaspora community. They'll be joining us via Zoom very shortly. But in the studio, I have with me Mr. Patrick Mambu. He's a public affairs analyst. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us this wet Friday afternoon.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. Now, online and via Zoom, I have with me, right there on your screen, I have Colonel Bilu Fadile. Does that the name ring bell? Yes, it does. To almost all Nigerians. He is President Council for African Security Affairs. Colonel, I welcome you to the program. Please welcome our guests.
Thank you very much.
Please, thank you very much. Thank you. The second person on the screen is Mr. Anthony Ubani. Mr. Ubani is the Executive Director, Fix Politics Africa. I welcome you to the program, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. Now, let's start the program. I think I'll start with you, our diaspora guests, because you really cannot be sure of network, especially around here where it rains almost 24 hours and the network can be crazy sometimes. So let me ask Colonel Fadile, what is so special about having our people in the diaspora vote during elections?
Like you recollect the American independence fight, no taxation without representation. Nigerian diaspora send a lot of money to Nigerian public, Nigerian family, Nigerian government. So they are entitled to vote. We don't want a revolution the Americans had against the British. So there should be no taxation without representation. So that's why it is important. You allow our people out there, they have a link, a very strong link, blood link, and they should contribute not just money, but their votes, the right to speak, the right to elect their representative that will tax them, tax the people, because the money they send to Nigeria is being taxed. So there should be no taxation without representation.
Okay.
That's my starting point.
Yes, yes. Mr. Obani, you want to say one or two to that? Why must they vote?
I think I will certainly be saying much more than one or two on the issue of diaspora voting and why our brothers and sisters in the diaspora should be accorded the constitutional right to vote. Indeed, there are so many reasons we can put forward why diaspora voting should be instituted at this time. Let me start from the Constitution. Constitutionally, diaspora voting is an imperative at this time because the Constitution makes clear that all citizens, all Nigerians are equal under the law and before the law. And it therefore means that as a citizen, you have a right to vote. The right to vote is not tied to geography, it is not tied to location, it is not tied to gender, it is not tied to education, it is not tied to income. It is tied to constitutional citizenship. It therefore means that if you accord the right to vote to citizens who are in one location and you deny those who are in a different location the right to vote, it means you're creating a legal duality. You're creating a scenario that speaks to injustice. You're creating a scenario that speaks to exclusion. That is the first point. Secondly, when you look at the history, if you look at it from a historical perspective, what we have been trying to achieve right back to 1920, that is starting from the colonial period, during the Clifford Constitution, what we've been trying to achieve is to remove every form of barrier that disenfranchises citizens from voting. In other words, the goal has always been
Okay. Now let me ask my guest in the studio. I asked our people in the diaspora, yes, because I know they are in the diaspora. Definitely they will want to vote. That was why I asked them, why must we allow them to vote? But for you, should they vote?
Thank you very much. I think for starters, we should situate the topic in the proper context. We're talking about diaspora voting as it relates to political participation. Political participation is sine qua non to the operationalization of any democratic experience. You can't have political participation without the issue of voting. Now, when you situate it, you have in-country voting, those of us within, and then we're talking of diaspora voting. Voting, whether it's diaspora or within, it's key to the operationalization of any electoral process. And over the years, we have been clamoring for improved participation of the electorate in the political scheme.
Yes.
So it is only right that you should extend this gesture to those who are living outside the shores of the country. If you look at it again, Nigeria appears to be the only country within Africa that has yet to really come to terms with diaspora voting. You have countries, and we are supposed to be the giant of Africa. You have Botswana, Senegal, Mozambique, Kenya, and even South Africa. That have operationalized diaspora voting. So it is only wise, if indeed we are the giant of Africa, to do all we can to make sure that diaspora voting comes into play.
Okay. Let me go back to Colonel Fadile. Now, you've made a very strong case why our people in the diaspora, 5 million of you out there, according to estimates from the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, 5 million. But are you not asking for something huge? You know, in terms of infrastructure that will allow you to vote, it's going to add more to the budget, the electoral budget in this country. Do you think the Nigerian nation can still afford to add more? Already people are saying that our electoral system is very, very expensive, that every 4 years, Nigeria almost empty the votes to conduct election. Don't you think you'll be adding a great more financial burden to the country?
Whatever is good costs money. If you agree that it is good and necessary for diaspora Nigerians to vote, then the government can bear it. It's a question of management. How do you manage your resources? And where do you put the money? Where do you spend it? Technology has made it very, very easy. Get the right technology, and it will even be cheaper than what you are running today. It is possible.
Okay.
It is possible.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Obani, I think his network is still...
I'm not sure if he's hearing. I think he has problem with his connection.
Yes. I know he will keep trying. But then let me still stay with you, Colonel.
Yes.
Even in Nigeria, as we speak, people are still crying hoax as a result of what they perceive as inconsistencies in the electoral process. If the election that we conduct among ourselves, seeing ourselves, is almost generating serious controversies to the extent that almost all our elections end up in the law courts, what do you think will happen to the one that we are conducting when we don't even see ourselves? It's only on platforms. People talk about opening the door for greater manipulation of election results. What's your comment on this, Colonel?
Well, I haven't been part of the election system. It is the leadership and the political class that you have to hold responsible. How do they want to win? How do they conduct themselves? What do they tell their followers? And then public education is also very important. Do the people know their rights? Why are they voting and who are they voting for? What are the responsibilities of those who vote into office? What do you expect from them? Can you stand and say this is the right thing to do? It's done all over the world. Why can't we do it? Just question of determinations by the leadership, the political leaders who engineer or encourage their followers to do otherwise. All point to the same person. Who are our elites? Who are the people who put in charge?
Okay.
Technology makes it very, very easy to avoid. Forget about the glitches they had. It can be corrected. It can be made to work properly. That is the way I see it. I've been involved in conduct of election, and I know how it is done, and I know what is right. We all know what is right, but will our leaders, in quote, allow us to do the right and to follow the law? Simple.
Okay, I'm still staying with you, and the reason is that I don't want to lose you. I just lost Mr. Obani. We really cannot predict what the network will do in the next moment, so I'll still stay with you. I want you to give us a feel of what the diaspora community are feeling about their participation in the electoral process? What are their, how eager are they to be part of the electoral process at home?
Well, you see, they have seen how things are done here and done properly, so they feel neglected, they feel left out. They want to be part of their home country. They want to help develop the country. It will be very difficult, for instance, for somebody in Nigeria to tell me who to vote for, because I know what the system is. I know what is expected. I know the qualification of who and who. Not somebody coming today telling me one story, go to another person, tell the same story in a different way. It's like I gave an example of a story of a Jew who was living in Russia. He carried the bulk of learning. When he got to the airport in Russia, he said, "Oh, this is our leader. He made us good, so I want to keep him in memory." When he got to Israel, he said, "Oh, this is the bastard that sent me out of Russia." And when he got to his home, he said, "Well, this is the gold more that I brought home for free without paying anything." So that is the position we find ourselves in Nigerian politics. They tell you different stories, but from outside, I can see it. We can see it. And then, sending the remittance they are sending back home, they want to have a say on how that money is spent. Well, you say you send it to their family. Yes, the family pay taxes. They pay school fees. The school pay taxes. So indirectly, they are contributing to the growth of the nation. And so they should have a voice. They should be heard. There may be some
you've almost... You've touched part of my next question, and that is in terms of what information is available to them about the goings-on at home. The social media, for instance, there are a lot of untruth and lies there. Very emotive contributions and discussions. Some of them are even uninformed. So how informed are they about the issues at home? Especially political issues at home, not to talk of economy, growth, and the rest of it.
Now, who do they send the money to? Do they send money to social media or to their parents or to individuals in the country? Who knows what is going on? Who tells them, they have increased our school fees, uncle, I need to buy this medicine, it's not available here. It's not, those are not social media. They send the money to individuals. Who report back to them? Or this month you send $10, next month you send $10, you say, "Oh, uncle, things don't change you. You have to increase this money to 20. So it's not social media that is guiding them. It is their pulse. They send the money to individuals, pay school fees, and they know what is going on. They pay hospital bill. They pay for transportation, the people they send the money to. So it's not social media that is driving them to want to vote. No. It is the reality of the people they send money to and the feedback they get from actual people on the ground.
Okay. Let me allow you to take some water while I discuss a little with, with my guest in the house. Okay, you've heard him. But I still want to ask you, don't you think there is a problem, there will be a problem in opening the ballot for them to cast their votes? Opening the ballot box or boxes for them to cast their ballots during elections. It's not going to be a tea party. There's going to be a humongous amount of resources that will be displayed. Maybe you can also carry along the issue of manipulations. When we conduct elections here, seeing ourselves, we see the ballot box, we have the paper and all. We are able not to get it right. How about abroad?
I think it's either near or there. It's neither here or there. But to put the record straight, I think the statistics we have regarding the population of diaspora, 5 million that were abandoned, it's not very correct. As at the last time I checked, the population was over 15 million of Nigerians in various parts of the world. And You may not fault those who compile that, because it's only the legal migrants
that they will profile.
That will pick.
Yes.
The number of
yes, in fact, this figure is from the Nigerian Diaspora Commission.
So it should be updated. And then secondly, while also, you know, casting my ballot, as it were, for diaspora voting, you'll find that the remittances that the diaspora makes, you know, at least the last time I also checked, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million.
In fact,
you understand?
CBN gives the figure as 20, while the International Migration Organization gave it as 21. Billion
dollars.
Billion dollars.
So these are some of the some of the variables that we need to consider while trying to, you know, really decide whether we should give them we should give into diaspora voting.
Okay.
Now, coming to the issue you raised, I think the main thing is the political will.
Okay.
In 1992, if my memory serves me right, in Ghana, Jerry Rawlings operated something that was very similar to diaspora voting. But it was restrictive in the sense that it only made it possible for members of the Provisional National Democratic Congress and some of the, you know, members. Okay, you also have something similar to this that has been practiced in Botswana. So a political leader who is in the saddle
to doing it.
Yes, will open the floodgate and allow. But then there are constraints, like you have noted.
Yes.
Let's look at section 77 subsection.
I'll still give you time.
Okay.
I learned our second diaspora guest is back. Mr. Bani, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nigeria happened to me a few minutes ago.
Yes. Now, before the network went crazy, I was asking the Colonel some questions about what Nigerians in the diaspora, are they upbeat about participating in our elections, and whether again they do understand the issues at home, for them to be able to make informed opinion about the candidates. Let me hear your views on that.
Straight away, I can tell you that no one is more upbeat than brothers and sisters in the diaspora. They do understand the issues clearly. They are very, very active. They are actively engaged in the advocacy to have diaspora voting. And to the question about whether they do understand the issues at home, my response will be that they understand the issues sufficiently to send over $20 billion annually to support the economy in Nigeria. I think the question of whether they understand the issue sufficiently for their voices to be heard in shaping governance in Nigeria should not even arise. The key question, again, like I said, is their citizens. And I want to assure you that if you do a study of Nigerians in the diaspora, you will find out that they are competent, they are highly educated, they are very well informed, and I can also tell you that they being brought in to the voting pool will enhance our electoral system in this country. So there's no question about their commitment to having diaspora voting.
Yes, the fact that Nigerians in the diaspora are intelligent cannot be overemphasized. We hear of the exploits of our students in various schools abroad, making waves, and even their inventions and their financial ability in terms of earnings. Yeah, it's not in doubt. But have you, members of the diaspora community, have you been engaging with the Nigerian authorities, especially our INEC, that you want to participate? during the voting process? Has there been any form of engagement? And what is it that you have been told is the bottleneck so far that has made it impossible?
The bottleneck with regards to the diaspora community not being able to vote is with the Constitution. Section 77.2 and Section 1172, inclusive of a couple of other sections in the Constitution, make it impossible for Nigerians in the diaspora to vote. The two sections that I just talked about now, which speaks to legislative voting and executive branch voting, talks about voters being resident in Nigeria. And
that knocks you off.
You need a constitutional amendment that will change that particular language to now read voters resident in or abroad. Resident in, within, or outside Nigeria. Voters who are resident within Nigeria or outside Nigeria. That way, you open the door for our brothers and sisters in Nigeria to be able to vote. That is just one of the constitutional amendments that is required. There's a whole host of other ones that are there to be amended. There are also amendments that needs to be made within the Electoral Act to now fully, legitimately empower Nigerians in the diaspora to vote. But I can tell you that Nigerians in the diaspora are upbeat. At Fixed Politics, we have an organization that we call Fixed Politics Diaspora Initiative. I'm proud to say that Colonel Bello, that is with us right here in this interview, is a member of that organization. And so we have avenues and structures and systems through which we are regularly in touch with Nigerians in the diaspora and with diaspora organizations abroad. And I can tell you that a significant majority of them are eager to finally see this historical democratic deficit of not allowing diasporans to vote corrected. Okay. And let me clarify a point very quickly before you ask your next question, because viewers might be wondering why I call this a democratic deficit. I call it a deficit because, like I was saying before I was thrown out by the internet, we started from 1920, removing all the barriers to voting. So by 1945, 1956, we had removed property qualification, but it was still limited suffrage. But by 1960, we succeeded 63. For the first time to get universal suffrage because we removed 63. The qualification. I mean, the what do you call it? Income qualification was removed. Gender qualification was removed. Location qualification was removed. Property qualification was removed. So for the first time in the history of this country, men and women could vote as long as you were older than 21 and above. Whether you were poor or rich, you could vote. Whether you had landed property or not, you could vote. Whether you were educated or not, you could vote. So we had moved, that was a landmark historic moment for us in terms of the journey towards universal sovereignty. By 1979, we went a step further by achieving the milestone of reducing the voting age to 18. So now we also included the youth. So the Nigerian youth could also vote. Since 1979, the advocacy and the campaign has been on to conclude and complete this historic process of removing every barrier to vote. And what do we need to do to conclude this journey that started in 1920? Allow diaspora voting. That is the only remaining item that needs to be taken care of. This country has the largest block of voters in the world that are not included in the vote. You had mentioned 5 million. Our colleague here had mentioned 15 million. But I want to say that the numbers we know we don't have accurate numbers because NIGCOM have not been able to provide accurate numbers, but the correct estimates are between 17 to 30 million Nigerians living abroad. That is the correct estimate. Wow. And so we have the largest number of citizens who are excluded from the vote anywhere in the world, and that is not acceptable. So this historic injustice needs to be corrected so that our brothers and sisters who are citizens, and take note, the key criteria you need to vote is being a citizen.
Citizenship.
There is nothing like that says if you're living in Jos, you cannot vote. If you're living in Ghana, you cannot vote. So long as you are a Nigerian citizen,
okay,
and you are 18 or above, you are entitled to vote.
Thank you.
So this is what we are trying to correct.
Thank you. Before I come back to my guest in the studio, let me ask Colonel Fadili. You are also a lawyer. Yes. There is a bill in the National Assembly in Nigeria here on allowing Nigerians in the diaspora to vote. Has there been any engagement with the National Assembly or with some NGOs in the country towards ensuring that there is expedited work on the bill towards its passage? Or what is the Nigerians in the diaspora, what are they doing to engage with the National Assembly towards fast-tracking the passage of that bill? As he mentioned, what is stopping diasporans from voting are legislations.
Yes, the starting point is the political will and consensus to change. That is still lacking. And like Tony said, there is mobilizing NGOs in Nigeria and overseas to get this political will and consensus to change the question of residence. Residency is the question we are facing. You're a citizen, you are above 18, but you are not resident in Nigeria. So we need the political will and consensus of the political elite of the legislature to do the right thing. 2/3 votes in both chambers and ratification by 2/3 of the State House of Assembly. Yes. That is what we need. And we're talking to individuals, talking to state governors. We know now House of Assembly is in the hand of the governors. That is part of the problem we're having. If the governors say don't, they don't. And then at the chambers, at the Senate and House of Rep, we know who controls them. We know who appoints the leadership. We know. So without the political will and consensus of the leaders, both president and governors, nothing can be done, I'm sorry to say. The question of residence should be amended. Wherever you reside, as a Nigerian, you should be able to vote. The question of the system is bad, is minor. Once the political will and consensus of the leaderships are gotten and the bill is passed, the person in charge of...
Oh, we lost him. Yes, we lost him. The program is the POLITY, and today we are looking at diaspora voting. What are the bottlenecks, and how can we remove them so that the over 15 million Nigerians, because that's the latest figure that we were just given, 30 million Nigerians in the diaspora can participate in future elections. You can be part of the program. The phone line will soon be displayed so that let's have a conversation that include our viewers out there. Yeah. Okay. Now Alent is back. Alent, the colonel is back.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We almost lost you there. Okay.
No, that's right. That's okay.
Yes.
So that is the important thing, to persuade Mr. President to prevail on the chambers to allow Nigerian citizens, wherever they are, to vote.
Okay.
To register and vote.
Okay.
Because that's what the electoral says.
Okay.
To register where you live, you register there, you have a ward, you have a polling unit. So if I live in America, they could have, during Jakarta, we have virtual voting points. So you designate certain areas in each country as the voting points. So you register in that place, and then you go there and you vote. Just as you present your card in my ward, in my local government, I present my card at the polling unit, they cross-check. That is where I register, and that's where I can vote. So if you live in Washington, there's probably be 2 or 3 virtual voting area polling units that you go to, present your card because you have registered there. You have your international passport to confirm. You have the consulate to handle all those checks and balances to make sure that, because they ask, who is a diaspora? Who's Nigerian diaspora? Is it those residents in America or those who are citizens in which country? A Nigerian citizen, whether you are resident or citizen of America, it doesn't change your citizenship. So it is left for Mr.
How
President.
about those that are not known? The illegal aliens or illegal immigrants.
Yeah, that is the problem, because if you don't register with the consulate, you will not be able to register to vote. So if you want to vote, you have to register with the consulate where you live, and they have records of citizens who are there. That is part of the problem. Yeah, you are illegal alien, fine. If you are illegal, it means you can't register. You don't want to know. You don't want Nigerians to know you are there. And if you have problem, who is going to help you? The question of legality depends on the statute or how you got in and what law prevails in that country. You can come in here as a student, and then your student visa expires, you still want to continue, you can apply for change of status. That doesn't make you an illegal person. So if you register with your consulate, then you register with your consulate, you have your passport, then you can register to vote in that consulate, and they designate the polling unit, the virtual polling unit that the INEC controls there in Nigeria. It's as simple as
you don't have business with the authorities of the country where you reside.
No. You are entered there, you register your presence with the Nigerian consulate, which is part of the problem some of Nigerian in diaspora are having. If you don't register with your consulate, if you have problem, who do you run to? An American in Nigeria will register with consulate in Lagos. If anything happens, he calls them. They know he's there. He's one of them. They'll fight for him. That is the essence of diplomacy. The Nigerian embassy, okay, you have problem now. If you register with the consulate, I go to New York, nobody can touch me in Nigerian consulate. They have the permanent mission there because I'm on Nigerian soil. That is recognized by the Vienna Convention on Diplomacy.
Okay. Thank you. Let me say it again. Allow the two of you to take some water while I ask my guest here some questions.
I do have to take.
Things that are seen and unseen that are going on in the background. Do you think that the Nigerians in the diaspora will be able to participate in 2027?
Let me correct an impression. It's not as we've been hammering from the perspectives. They've been looking at the issue from the constitutional angle.
Yes.
The diaspora voting issue is standing on a tripod.
A tripod, okay.
It has constitutional implications. The legal implication. And then institutional, which is part of what we are talking about. Okay, the mechanisms in place. It is not going to be easy peasy. I must say that. Because Section 77 of the 1999 Constitution and 117, okay, subsection 2, states that for a presidential candidate of a party to emerge as the winner of
an election,
yes, he or she has to score 1/4 of about 2/3 of votes cast. Majority.
Some states.
Yes. Now, if you look at the issue of diaspora voting,
where do you place them?
Where do you
state?
place the state issue? Those who are going to vote, where are you going to place them? That is one issue. The issue of age is, I mean, once you're 18 is good, but that issue of statism comes in. So it's not going to be easy. And that is why you require the constitutional amendment. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it has to do with if there's a political will.
Yes, like Colonel Fadile said.
If there's a political will. But which of our presidential candidates, the sitting president, will have the will to really expedite, to give that political push to this? Look at the configuration of the diaspora, Nigerians in diaspora. You find that majority of them, Christians, are located in the Western world, in Western parts of the world. Christians, you find them in Europe and all that. We find Muslims from the north who are concentrated in the Middle East countries, Saudi Arabia, doing legitimate businesses. So a very conservative political leader may look at it. If this is allowed, where will my votes come from? Am I going to have those who are from the southern parts? I'm sorry, but it's like I'm going into, but we must address it. It's a brass tack. These are part of the issues. Am I likely to have the majority of votes coming from the Western world, with mostly Christian majority residing there? Or will my votes come from the bloc, where you have Muslims from the northern part residing in Middle East and all that? So that will also be playing on the mind of a political leader who may want to throw his weight behind this.
Okay.
The National Assembly is doing its best. Okay, as at the last time I checked, the bill was slated, or was in the process of being slated for second reading in the Senate.
Okay. Which house? Which of the houses?
Senate. Okay. Senate. It has passed first reading. The House of Reps has passed both bills.
Okay, first and second.
Yes. Senator Kweyemi spoke the last time I checked. They are all in tune. They are all routing for diaspora voting.
But those in the diaspora said that they fear the governors.
That's why I said it's standing on a tripod. It's not just constitutional. You have the legal implication, like I mentioned.
And you have to lobby.
Yeah, of course, they have to lobby. And I don't know, some of them, their mentality may not really go into how do we spend our personal resources in coming to lobby people. A number of them are very busy professionals. Okay, they have blogs. The other day I was listening to somebody, he said it's Southeast Patriots. You have such blogs, but are they really willing to throw their hard-earned resources into the issue of lobbying?
Let's ask them. Now, I'm back to you, my guests in the diaspora, especially Mr. Anthony Ubani. You've heard what my guest in the studio said, that yes, the National Assembly is moving and moving fine, moving well on the passage of that bill, that the bill has gone through the first and second reading in the House of Representatives, while before the Senate went on vacation, they were already slating it for the second reading. That, okay, well, it's doing fine in the National Assembly this time, but that, again, you need to do more than just be watching the passage of the bill, that the diaspora too will have to be involved, and we're talking about lobbying members of the National Assembly so that this bill will be able to go through. Is there any engagement like that? Is there any consensus on engaging the National Assembly members at whatever level so that this bill can come to reality. Mr. Anthony Ibani.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, let me say from the perspective of my organization, the Fixed Politics Initiative, we have nothing but commendation and encouragement for the National Assembly with respect to this bill, specifically the Diaspora voting bill. They have risen to the occasion this time around. If you recall, historically, the Diaspora voting bill has not done well in the National Assembly. On previous occasions when it came to the National Assembly, it was either thrown out without even being discussed, or it just came to first reading and it was thrown out. So this is the first time you are seeing considerable will, courage, and political expediency in terms of ensuring that this bill passes second reading and is now put forward to the public for public hearing so that the public can weigh in and provide perspectives and their views to this. So with regards to the participation, the work of the National Assembly, we say kudos to them. We encourage them to continue to push forward. Now, let me say this. I think we run the risk of paralysis by analysis, because I have been on several TV shows and interviews, and the tendency is for Nigerians to want to look, oh, it may be difficult to implement, oh, there's political will required, oh, there are these issues. There is development, progress is impossible if we are not ready to overcome challenges. There is no way in the world that you're going to move forward without having hindrances, without having challenges, without having difficulties. That is the idea, like I've said severally, of leadership. That there are challenges, you look for solutions to those challenges. That is the whole idea of civil society, citizens in this country, putting heads together. This is something that we agree is beneficial to our country, is beneficial to our democracy, is beneficial to our electoral system. There are 1, 2, 3 challenges that we need to overcome. How do we put heads together to overcome it? And that is it. Now, the facts on the ground are, you have over 115 countries in the world currently executing diaspora voting. In Africa, our own continent, you have over 30 countries currently executing diaspora voting, including our next door neighbor, Ghana, and South Africa. So this is not rocket science. Let's stop making everything look like they are impossible. How did a small country like Ghana institute diaspora voting? How did a country like Senegal institute diaspora voting? We are not about to reinvent the wheel regardless of the problems. These problems have been there, but you have over 100 countries in the world that have overcome them and put them in place because it's a necessity and because it's a democratic right. What we need to do is step one, focus on getting the bill passed, getting concurrence from the state, and getting the president to sign the bill into law. When that happens, INEC, the electoral management body, will be empowered to do its work by carrying out a survey, a research, finding out how, for instance, how did Ghana implement diaspora voting? How is, what systems, what protocols, what processes have South Africa put in place? How is the US doing it? And you find out how those countries that have similar situations like Nigeria have done it. And you simply just adapt those processes. We have technology, advanced technologies in place. We have biometrics. We have AI technology today. We have so many things that can be done to enhance the process. My colleague there talked about how do you now define the diaspora vote? Because the Constitution talks about state. That is why we are calling for electoral reform. And even before the electoral reform, take the situation of Abuja. Is Abuja a state? It is not a state. But the Constitution
It was very contentious in the last election.
Yes, it of course we know, but I don't want to go into that because that would be a heated argument. So, but the fact is that the Constitution captured it and said, plus the Federal Capital Territory. There are simple ways, very simple ways, that INEC can capture the diaspora. The diaspora can be captured as one constituency, whether you're in America or you're in Saudi Arabia. The entirety of the diaspora vote can be captured as one constituency. There are so many ways to do it. Like I said, it's not rocket science. Something that over 115 countries are doing. We call ourselves the giant of Africa. When it comes to advancing democracy, advancing economic development, we come up with excuses. We come up with a lot of analysis that creates paralysis. So my submission is this. My submission is this. That instituting diaspora voting in Nigeria is not just a constitutional imperative. It is a moral obligation. And indeed, it is a strategic investment in our democracy. And I'd like to encourage our leaders in the National Assembly, in the state houses, to do all that is possible to ensure that this time around, that we're able to take diaspora voting across the line and pass it into law. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Colonel,
Yes, sir.
2011 general election is around the corner. By the time we turn the bend of 2025, we land into 2026. We just have some few months to the election. And look at all the processes that Mr. Obani just outlined now for the two houses of assembly to pass the bill, send it to the state, comes back to the assembly. Before the assembly passes it, then it goes to Mr. President for accent. Then it now goes to the implementing agency, the commission, INEC, to now begin to look at it and say, okay, how do we implement this section? Let's go to Ghana, or maybe they should raise to South Africa or any other country that is already practicing diaspora voting. Do we have enough time for this to happen before February 2027 general elections? Or maybe you want to say that, okay, don't take every one of us. No, don't take us in the 25 nations or 30 nations where diasporans are spread. Just take those of us in the US alone, at least for a start. What are your comments on this?
Yes, the longest journey starts with a start. That's number one. You have to start. If you don't start, you don't finish. And then in the military, there's what we call concurrent activities. Concurrent activities.
I know you refer to the military on this program.
Well, that's my life.
That's your constituency.
That's my life. I have an objective to do diaspora voting. So there must be concurrent activities by the people urging for it, for everybody. As we are fighting to get the constitutional amendment, INEC, we're also telling INEC, if you pass this bill, how are you going to make it work? These are the steps. This is how it is done. Here, this is what this one did. Concurrent activities settles everything. In any military operation, you have concurrent activities. You don't wait for one person to finish before you start your own. No. So that is it. First step first, let's amend the constitution. Let them have the political will and consensus to pass this bill. It is very simple. All the leaders or the majority have to do it. Okay, let it go. And all the states ratify. They do it in one day and return it to National Assembly. National Assembly already passed it. So one day they don't agree, then they have a committee, consensus committee, and pass it. Mr. President is waiting. He's a Democrat. He knows what it is to be a Democrat. He has seen it all. He's been out and in. And he signs. If he doesn't, I mean, of course, I don't see him not signing it anyway. So that is it. Then concurrent activity. As we are talking now, somebody is talking to INEC. These are the templates. We are sharing this information. These are the templates. Like Tony said, if you want to get a passport, there's a column there that talks about state, local government. So if you want to categorize that, that is more unwinding. You can say, okay, America is one state like FCT, South, the continent. You can put the whole continent into that. So you have three other blocks plus 36 and 37, plus 5, plus 6. That's 40 what? Tell me. That's 42 constituency. Your 2/3 will fit in there. It's very good, very simple. Once you know your objective, where we are going, one step, beginning of a long journey, concurrent activities. Everybody is doing what, if it is passed, you don't wait for it to pass. You put yam on fire. You don't wait until yam finish before you put the soup and do everything. As you are cooking the yam, you are cooking the soup. Somebody is putting the plate. Somebody is putting the soup. Somebody is bring cold water. That is concurrent activities that can help us.
Let me help you with what people say around here. They say if you want to know the meaning of endurance, yes, you try and fry plantain before you start cooking the beans.
So
you'll probably finish plantain before the
exactly.
Thank you very much, Colonel.
Allow me to please.
There is something I want to say now.
Let me just jump in for a second and help the question you asked the Colonel. Now, in terms of execution, I wouldn't, because you asked how do we get this ready before 2027 election. So the first answer is that we don't have to get this ready before 2027 election.
Oh.
Like the Colonel has said, let's focus on passing this law. Let's pass this bill into law. And then the process of designing a framework for implementation will commence. That framework, I want to believe, if I were advising INEC, will be in phases. It's not going to happen once. The first phase will be phase 1. What is under phase 1? Pass the bill into law. Then INEC provides a framework for execution and adopts a minimum of 2, a maximum of 4 countries within which it will run a pilot program to test its policies and what it has designed to do. And this will be between 2025 and 2027. That is phase 1, 2025 to 2027. So for instance, if INEC says it wants to test its policies in 4 countries and conduct this pilot program. So you do it in America, you do it in United Kingdom, you do it in South Africa, you do it in Ghana. That's your 4 countries. They participate in the 2027 election. You take you look at what has happened, how your processes, your systems have worked. Of course, you find out where you have challenges and issues.
You have glitches.
And then it's 2. You now take 2027 to the next election to fine-tune your processes, to carry out more research, conduct more experiments, and try to perfect your systems and processes. So by the next election, you enlarge the number of people coming in. You still are not going to be able to cover the entire countries in the diaspora. I will assume that by the 3rd election, you have strengthened your systems, strengthened your understanding and your processes, and you are now able to accommodate Nigerians in diaspora wherever they may be. Okay. So if I were to handle this, this will be the way I will take it. There is no rush. The only thing that is urgent is to put that bill in place. Okay. Pass it into law, put it in place, and then civil society, National Assembly, Nigerian citizens, experts, everyone will come in, support INEC to understand and understudy how this diaspora voting has happened in other countries. How did South Africans get it right? Okay. How did Ghana get it right? How did Senegal get it right? For instance, in Senegal adopted the process of in-person voting in the consulate and embassies, plus postal voting. But Ghana and South Africa adopted only in-person voting. You must physically walk into the embassy, the consulate or whatever, and vote. You have to take time, study all of this, look at the implication, look at what is best for the country called Nigeria, and then come up with a program. And phase 3 will now be beyond the 2nd election refining process. Because whatever program INEC comes up with, it's probably going to be refined continuously for probably the next decade.
Okay.
Before you get to the point where you have a system that you're very sure can deliver the goods.
Okay, thank you. I want you to listen to my next question to our guest in the studio so that you two can make comments on it when I do come back to you. And that is, we are talking diaspora voting. And the National Assembly is working seriously, assiduously on it, as we have heard. And so, what some people say, imagine, look at them again. These are representatives. Is that what we are telling them? So it is now, what is important now is diaspora voting when we are hungry. You know, is it a priority? Is diaspora voting, should it be one of our national priorities?
The work of the National Assembly is cut out for them. They are not only to deliberate on stomach infrastructure as we know it here. There are so many areas that their work is cut out for them. Okay. But they look at issues on the political scene, economy, foreign, and what have you. Security. So many areas of specialization, areas of endeavor. So all these issues must be brought to the burner. That's the most important thing. And the electorate must know that every aspect of the Nigerian economy, every issue that affects both those of us who are here and those who are in diaspora is very, very important. The diasporans just alluded to the fact that they do remittances. We also know. Yeah. So you can't be transferring monies to those of us who are here, and those of us who are here will say, "Is this an issue that should be given prominence?"
Yes.
Every issue is very, very important. The only thing is that it must be given the degree of, consideration that it requires.
Okay.
And I don't know if we have time as students of history.
Yes.
A citation by Ochei, 2022, goes down memory lane to say that diaspora voting dates back to the reign of Roman Emperor Augustus in 62 BC to 14 AD. At that time, it was extended to only persons who serve the interests of their nations from abroad, okay, which includes diplomats, sailors, and military personnel. All right. This went further to the Roman Empire, senators in their newly colonies who participated here. So, I have, pardon?
They are hearing you.
Okay. If I have to comment on what Comrade Ubani mentioned, it is a work in progress.
Yes, you mentioned that.
It's a work in progress. I am also for it. We must start from somewhere. You can see how long this issue, I just traced the historical background.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been long in coming. So, long and short is that every issue is important for our constituents here.
Yes.
I am in support of it. It's just that certain institutional challenges have to be put in place.
Okay.
And if I have a chance for a parting shot, I would also give them advice on what they should do towards.
Okay. Please keep that.
Okay.
You have opportunity,
okay.
no doubt.
Okay.
I said I will allow you, our guest in the diaspora, to respond to that. Maybe Konefadle will like to respond to that. In Nigeria today, the strident noise is a being power, meaning that we are hungry.
Stomach infrastructure.
Everybody is talking about hunger. If we now put diaspora voting on the table now, people are likely to say, look at them. These our leaders are not serious. Is that the next thing, diaspora voting? How important is this issue?
Governor
Should we put it on the front burner?
Governor is like a puzzle. every portion need to be in place. If one is missing, then it is not complete. The puzzle is not complete. Diaspora voting is missing, then the puzzle is not complete. Governance is not complete. The money is coming in, then, like I said, we don't want the revolution in Nigeria like the Americans and the British did. No taxation without representation. $20 billion a year is not a small money. It goes into the Nigerian economy from outside the Nigerians. So why shouldn't they be? When you talk about priorities, you have levels of priority. You have levels. Okay, you say, oh, diaspora voting is not a priority. Is funding agriculture a priority? Where you get more food, you have food, you produce, where do you get money to buy? You see, everybody has a part to play. Yeah?
Okay.
The hospital, there's shortage of drugs in the hospital. My brother is sick. I need to send money to him to pay his bill and buy his drugs. That is part of it. That is part of it. We need to be practical. We need to be pragmatic. The idea of, oh, this one is not, everybody is important. Even for nuisance value, they are important.
Yes.
Everybody in the society is important. Every citizen has a role to play in the development of the country. So it is important. Yes, okay. It may be number 2 or 3 priority, but it is important.
Okay. Thank you very much, Colonel. Mr. Obani, in Nigeria today, during our elections, we have been clamoring, at least those of us who are journalists, we've been clamoring that INEC should give us, should give us opportunity to vote during elections. I can tell you, I'm over 60 now. I can count the number of elections that I voted in. That's if I have at all. When the voter registration is going on, I will be on the field. I'll be chasing registration centers or monitoring my reporters on the field. Ditto for the military, the nurses, the traffic warden, and even some others in critical sectors of the economy that cannot just leave their beat like that. The military have not been voting. Fire servicemen have not been voting. So I was in Ghana to monitor election some years ago, over 10 years now. And 3 days to the election, members of the armed forces, those on essential duties, they call them, were given opportunity to cast their ballots 3 days to the election, because they know that they will not be able to have time to come and vote on election day. We have been clamoring for it in this country. It has not materialized. So, what is the assurance that when we, those of us at home, have not been able to vote, what is the assurance that yours abroad will be made any easier without a very serious attention? Mr. Obani.
All right, I will address this question in 2 different ways. But first, let me allow me to go back to your initial question, which I think is very, very important. You had made the point that Nigerians are saying that hunger is the critical issue, and the National Assembly, in other words, their representatives, are busy with diaspora voting. How important in diaspora voting? I will just take a minute or 2 to put diaspora voting in context so that Nigerians at home who are watching will understand why diaspora voting is very, very important. So when you talk about hunger, when you talk about poverty, you talk about inflation, you talk about poor infrastructure, etc., the retinue of negatives you have in our country on the economic side and on the democratic side, or rather on the governance side. The question you ask is, what is the cost? What is the cost of all these challenges we have in the country? You will immediately tell me that it's poor leadership. Just as our organization, Fixed Politics, has determined. So in other words, the solution is to have values-based transformative leaders who will govern and lead with character, competence, and capacity. If you have leaders who govern with character, competence, and capacity, in other words, ethical leaders who will not steal billions and trillions of naira as we see in the reports every day, who will not compromise economic development because of their incompetence, who will not compromise good governance and the growth of Nigeria because of their lack of capacity. It means, therefore, that the place to tackle the issue, to stop arrested development, to make hunger, poverty, and the rest of those things we talked about to become a thing of the past, the right place to start with will be our leadership recruitment process. Now, if you agree with me, the leadership recruitment process will be improved if we do what? Begin to take steps one by one to fix our electoral system. The electoral system is the process through which these leaders emerge. If we are able to put in place reforms that strengthen our electoral system, it means the electorate will be able to vote for leaders who have character, competence, and capacity, what we in Fixed Politics like to call the 3 C's. If you have such leaders who, rather than serve their pockets, will patriotically serve the interests of Nigeria and Nigerians, what do you think will happen? In a very short while, poverty will become a thing of the past, or at least it will be significantly reduced. Economic development will grow, good governance will grow, because you have leaders who are doing the right thing. What we are saying with Diaspora Vote, when you enlarge the space, you bring in more people, it makes it more difficult for the corrupt political class to rig election. Elections in this country, the last election, the current president won with approximately 8 million votes. I think the highest we've had in this country of a president winning is about between 12 to 16 million votes.
12.
Now you have over 17 million people who are unjustly excluded from the vote.
From the system.
What do you think will happen if you bring those numbers into the vote? If a politician requires 1 million naira to rig poor Nigerians, who he gives 50 naira, 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of garri, 1 face cap, how much do you think he will need to compromise over 17 million diasporans who are well educated, who are very productive, who are enlightened, who are informed? Democracy requires the light of informed voters to survive.
Yes.
If the electorate are not informed, democracy dies, whether in America or anywhere. You see what is happening in America, one of the most advanced democracies. So when you have ignorance, you have poverty, you have hunger in Nigeria, the political class exploits this, and we continue to have leaders.
Okay. Now, our time is running very fast on this program. You have something you want to advise our diaspora people on this issue. I'll make it your final word on this program.
I want to update us that as a form of a progress on the bill, it has already passed the first reading in the Senate, been slated for the second reading. The Senate leader, Okoyemi Bamidele, has assured that the Senate will do its best to pass the bill. Okay? In the House of Reps, we are all aware that the Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, is well in tune with the importance, the essence of this bill. Just as his deputy reintroduced the bill at its last plenary session.
Okay.
So, at the risk of sounding like a spokesperson for both the Senate and House of Reps,
on this program,
yes, I am assuring them that they have the backing of NAS for this bill.
That's the National Assembly.
Yes, National Assembly, to see the light of the day. What is left for them to do now is the advocacy effort on their part.
Yes.
They should get together, constitute themselves into blocks, be able to do a position paper on the issue. My comrade Ubani was making inferences to the experiences in Senegal and I think South Africa.
Yes.
This should be articulated, you know, and forwarded to these lawmakers. And then it is also pertinent to note that INEC and NIGCOM are also well, you know, predisposed towards
the Diaspora Commission.
Yes, commission headed by Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa. So these are the people that they can reach out to. The outgoing, the INEC chairman, who we understand will be leaving office soon, Yakubu, yes, is also well disposed to it. He has spoken on it. So the ball, I would say, is in their court.
Okay.
They should mobilize and then do position papers, avail these bodies of their wealth of experiences on the issue. Okay. And I believe
something will happen.
Yes, it will see the light of day.
Thank you. Mr. Ubani, you've heard about advocacy, lobbying, and then ensuring that you don't allow the issue to die in the National Assembly, in the minds of the people of Nigeria. Are you doing anything like that quickly because of our time?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've already released a technical paper which speaks to what the guests here have just spoken about, detailing all of the processes, ideas, offering ideas of the kinds of things that INEC can do and should do to advance the process and make it work. And we will be revising that document to update it and put it forward again. It's actually in the internet. We have had engagements with National Assembly members. We have participated in the public hearing. We have been in the media circuits, soliciting the support of media or the civil society, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, to make sure that this bill remains in the front burner of national discourse and attention until it is passed. But more importantly, to ensure that we are providing useful information and clarification to ensure that Nigerians understand the significance of the diaspora bill. Just as I was saying before the internet threw me out again, you could see the correlation between leadership and poverty. Once you have more, you increase the pool of voting, it is easier to get credible elections when you have 30 million people voting than when you have 10 million people voting.
Okay.
So it speaks to the issue that was raised, and we believe that this National Assembly will make history by passing this particular bill into law, because I believe that they are engaged, they are committed, and they are working hard. We had a diaspora dialogue at Fixed Politics in 2024, where we worked with the chairperson of NIGCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri, and I recall clearly that in that dialogue, she assured us and assured Nigerians that as soon as the National Assembly is able to get this bill to the desk of Mr. President will sign the bill the same day. In other words, the president is enthusiastic and supportive of the diaspora bill. And so we are very hopeful that this bill will be passed into law.
Thank you. I must thank you, Mr. Ubani, for being quite forthright on this program. I think from you and Colonel Fadile, we have been able to see how articulate Nigerians in the diaspora are on this issue, and you are quite passionate about it, and you have all the details at your fingertips. I must thank you, Mr. Anthony Ubani, of the Executive Director of Fixed Politics Africa, for your contribution on this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And let me just correct one thing before we leave. I'm actually not in the diaspora. I'm seated here in Abuja, where our head office is. Thank you.
That's interesting. You spoke quite very seriously and growingly about our people in the diaspora. Wow, that's impressive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then I must thank our guest also, retired Colonel Bello Fadile. It's a name that we all know. Thank you for your comments on the program. I like the way you frame your shot this time around. It shows exactly the town and city where you are contributing from. Thank you very much for that, sir.
It's my pleasure. I'm Colonel Bello Fadile. Don't put retire because I'm still fighting for my rank.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for that. Thank you.
Okay.
And then my guest in the studio, thank you very much, especially for those historical bits that you added on the program. You really did your research for this program. We like that. It enriched our discourse. Thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure.
Well, this is where we call it a date on the program, The Polity. We shall be back on Monday for another edition. Do join us then. But this evening, Matters Arising is at 8 p.m. Good afternoon.